everyone, and here we are in week 4.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, we are halfway through this online Bible study. Where has the time gone? It is just flying by. I cannot believe we're already at the halfway mark.
I know.
Okay, so since we are, I want to ask you a question, and you guys can answer too, but you're only going to hear these two guys. But I want to know, like, so far, halfway through this study, what are your biggest takeaways so far?
Well, there are a lot, and I think a lot of my takeaways come from the going to the well. Mm-hmm. I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, I highlighted that and underlined that, so it's a great resource again. So a lot of them are there. But I think from chapter 7, the title is called When God Gives You More Than You Can Handle, and that's one that we're reading this week. There's a quote, and we talked about it in week 2, actually, a little bit, but I'd love for you to unpack it, Lisa. But it's, I know I must walk through God's process before I see his fulfilled promise, which is really hard for me to do because sometimes I just want to get to the promise and not even worry about the process.
Right. That's so true.
Well, one thing in counseling that my counselor kept saying to me whenever I would say, I don't want to walk through any more processes. Like, I want it to be fixed today. I want to come in and I want you to give me that statement, that activity, that nugget of truth, that Bible verse that will just fix this and make it go away, because I was tired. And, I think when you're going through something and then more hard things get added on and then more hard things get added on, and then your fuse becomes short and your reactions can become sharp, and you just feel like I'm not even the same person I used to be. And so, God, it's time for your promise to be fulfilled here. But the thing that my counselor kept saying is, Lisa, trust the process. And that's true in an emotional sense, and we could unpack that for a while. But I want to show that it's true in a spiritual sense, too. There are so many times where God's promise for me coming true in an instant would not be the best thing for me. And God has to develop in me a strength to be able to carry me and develop me. But there needs to be a strength inside of me, not trying to rally more of my own strength, but learn to rely on God's strength and letting God's strength get inside of me. So you read this week a particular verse that I want to pull out and read. It's Psalm 42. So Psalm 40, verse 2. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. You see, I want to be lifted out of the slimy pit and right up to the rock of deliverance right now, right?
Right, absolutely.
But isn't it interesting that it says he set my feet on a rock, and then he gives me a firm place to stand. In other words, can you imagine before I'm ready or strong enough or stable enough to handle standing on the rock, if he wouldn't have set my feet first? In other words, if he wouldn't have made sure that my ankles were strengthened and my feet were in the right place and everything, if God would just take me from the pit right up to the rock and I still had all that slime on me and my feet weren't set right, I would slip off and fall, right? And so God loves me too much to just lift me out of that slimy pit and immediately put me on that rock of victory. You see, there's a process to that promise. This promise is very, very true. But the process, when we're lifted out of the slimy pit, there's a cleansing that needs to happen, or so it'll be too slippery for us to stand on the rock. And then there's a setting that needs to take place to make sure we're stable enough. And then we can see the victorious moment of standing on the rock. But I think we have to not only trust the process, like I said, in an emotional sense, but trust God's process of getting us ready to walk in the promise that we're desperate for.
So good, so good. All right, everyone, now we have our Life Upside Down segment with me and Lisa, and so we will join y'all there and see you back in a few. Okay, so something that I've noticed that I do when I'm trying to wait well is I manipulate situations and I try to speed up the process. And you talked a little earlier about how we need to go through the process in order to see the promise fulfilled. But what's one practical step that we can take when we're waiting for something to happen that can help us turn it right side up?
This is hard.
It is hard.
This is one I'd love someone else's advice on. I'll be honest. I'm a finisher, a completer.
Right.
I like things organized and tidy, and I want things done, and I want them done now, and I want immediate relief from my pain. And I think what's so hard about waiting, especially when we're waiting for something like a promise fulfilled by God, is that there's pain while we wait.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of a timeline. It's a matter of relief that we want, right?
Yes.
And so one thing I want to challenge you with today, and it's something I have to challenge myself with, is I don't like pain very much. And so I want to relieve the pain. And so if I have a headache, I want to take Advil.
Yes.
If I stub my toe, I want to get the Neosporin that has the pain relief in it, and then put the Band-Aid on it, right? And so I want the pain to go away. But what I have to remember is that there's even a process to the pain going away. Pain is often an indication that something needs to be healed, and a healing needs to take place, and we can't rush that. But in order to know how we need to heal, we often need to be able to feel the pain. And so while we're waiting, I just want to encourage you, don't get sucked into the trap of numbing your pain. There are so many things that the enemy is going to put in front of you to tempt you to numb that pain. But if you don't ever feel the pain, you can't deal with the pain. And if you never really deal with the pain, you will never heal from the pain. And numbing can come in so many different aspects. We can get on Facebook and try to just distract ourselves, getting wrapped up in other people's lives.
Social medias are really
big or Instagram, you know, just getting kind of caught up in everyone else's life to ignore some realities in our life. We can try to numb our pain with Netflix, you know, just watching movies or getting swept up in a TV series, and we just watch them back to back to back, you know. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, shoot, you just did that yesterday, so that means you're numbing some pain. But I'm saying be honest with yourself. Why are you doing it? You know, if it's for entertainment, then that's a different category. But if it's to numb some pain in your life, pay attention to that. People can use alcohol to numb their pain. They use drugs to numb their pain. And oftentimes we take the method of our numbing and we hold it as a secret. And it's something that we just want to get through this season, and then we think we're going to release that method of numbing. The reality is that method of numbing often sticks with us and often prevents us really from dealing with the pain and healing from the pain. So be honest about that. And I would find a good friend, a safe friend, a friend that you know is praying more words for you than they talk about you or to you. And I would maybe just set up a conversation with that person, go have coffee with them or whatever, and just say, hey, help me process this. I think I am numbing my pain. Will you help me figure out one positive step I can take to let go of that numbing mechanism so that I can really deal with this pain? Because my goal is I want to heal from the pain.
And then they can help hold you accountable so you're not doing it alone.
That's right. And obviously, another great resource is good Christian counseling.
Yeah.
I can't say enough. I don't know why in the Christian community we have an aversion to saying we're in therapy or going to counseling or whatever. But you and I were talking earlier. It's like we love counseling.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of counseling.
This is great. And so just like we are physical beings, we go to a medical doctor for that. We are spiritual beings. We go to Bible teachers to help our spiritual development. We're also emotional beings, and we can go to good, trained Christian counselors to help us. And certainly, if you need some resources on Christian counseling, we'll link some opportunities for you today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you, Kendra and Lisa. And like you, Kendra, I tend to struggle in the wait as well.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. But it is also good to know there's purpose in the process. All right, everybody, let's move on to our verse of the week. And this week's verse comes from James chapter 1, verse 4. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything. And I love the promise that's tucked in this verse. If we persevere, that's the hard part, of course, through the circumstances, then we can trust God that we're not going to be lacking in anything. He is going to mature us and make sure it's complete.
That's right. And if we even back it up a little bit more, we see that in verse 2 of James chapter 1, it says, consider it pure joy, my brothers and my sisters, when you walk through trials of many kinds, or when you face trials of many kinds, because you see, there's so much that we will not know when we're walking through hard times. There's a lot that we want to know.
Right.
Like I've mentioned these questions before. Why me? Why this? Why now? Why God? Right? There's so much that we don't know. We don't know how this is going to turn out. We don't know why we're walking through this. We don't know if things are going to be okay according to our version of okay. There's just so many things that we don't know. But here's what we can know. Consider it pure joy, my brothers, my sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you can know for sure, that the testing of your faith, and this will test your faith. When we go through hard times, our faith and our feelings will come in conflict. We will be tested. The testing of your faith will develop something. It strengthens us. Remember, we've been talking about this unexpected strength. Here it is, girls, right here. A perseverance, and perseverance must finish its work so that we can be made mature, complete, not lacking anything. I think we would all raise our hands and say, yeah, I want to be mature. I want to be complete. I want to be lacking nothing. It's like, okay, then you have to trust the process of that. And in the midst of it, consider, not feel the joy. Because that would be fake, right? Because when we're going through hard times, I mean, we're not immediately feeling joy. But consider where the joy might be. And here's a great place to look, is that this is going to develop something in you. You see, there are other things that we're going to walk through later in life. And you may say, well, Lisa, that's not very positive. No, I'm positive. There's going to be more stuff that we face in our life, right? And so in God's great mercy, he is developing in us a strength today that we will need for that next situation tomorrow. And how good of him to remind us, consider where the joy might be. Consider what I might be doing for you. I'm not doing this to you. I'm doing this for you. And considering all of that, there's joy here because God is here. And where God is, there is good. Even if we don't feel it, even if we don't see it. And God's good will develop in us a strength that he sees that we will need. This perseverance is quite a gift, but it's a gift that none of us probably would willingly choose, but all of us desperately need.
And I'm glad he's not just leaving us there. He's constantly developing us so we can get better and better, more like him as we walk through trials. So.
That's right.
All right, everyone, we have a resource for you. We've mentioned it a few times. It's called Your Week at a Glance. So go ahead and click that just to see what we're reading this week, to see the verse of the week and other resources that we have for you. And we have something we say around here, and we don't want to miss out on saying it with you.
We know it by now.
We do know
I bet everyone knows it by now.
That's true. So you can say it with us. Ready?
All right.
It's when you know the truth and live the truth, it changes everything. Bye, everyone.